Welcome to Year 2, Module 1, Resource Development Essentials. This module is part of the Community Engagement Technical Assistance Center Communications TA curriculum, designed to support research teams and community partners in communicating about community-engaged research. In this module, you will learn how to choose and create clear, useful research communication products that support community-engaged research. By the end of this module, you should be able to identify what resource formats work best for what you're aiming to communicate. Before we begin, there are a few things to note. First, for a moment, let's talk about why this module matters. Community-engaged research teams create many communication resources to share complex scientific findings and best practices. When communities contribute to the work, researchers have a responsibility to share what was learned in ways the community can understand. Format choices shape how clear, usable, and accessible those resources are. When format aligns with why you are communicating and who you are communicating to, it helps bring better understanding. This module will guide you in selecting the most effective format. Here are the objectives for this module. This module will help you identify communication product formats, describe the differences between formats, and select the most appropriate formats based on your purpose and your audience. At the end of this module, you'll also be able to apply plain language basics and recognize accessibility considerations to make your resource more impactful and useful. Here's how this session is structured from start to finish. First, we'll review common formats and explain why format matters. Then we'll describe the key differences between the formats and discuss how to select the most appropriate format. Next, we'll discuss the two most common formats, fact sheets and toolkits, and share practical tips you can apply right away. Finally, we'll briefly cover plain language basics and share some accessibility considerations. We'll end with a brief summary and a checklist you can refer back to. It is important to effectively communicate research findings to various audiences. Research findings can enhance current research and improve future work to positively impact the health of communities. Therefore, the format of communication is important. These are some common communication resource formats you may already be using. Each one supports a different goal, from sharing quick information to guiding action. Choosing the right format depends on what you want your audience to do. Let's walk through them for a moment. We'll start with fact sheets. Fact sheets help people understand a topic quickly. It contains evergreen information about a topic or a program. One-pagers are usually a single page. They give short overviews about a program or research's purpose and core message. Infographics are slightly different. They explain information visually using charts, graphs, and visual representations of information. Toolkits are a collection of resources to help people take action and apply guidance in real-world settings. The two most commonly used formats for community-engaged researchers are fact sheets and toolkits. Let's talk more about them on the next few slides. We'll start with fact sheets. Fact sheets are very popular communication resources. However, not everything belongs on a fact sheet. Let's discuss what fact sheets are and what they are not. Fact sheets are short and focused. They typically include evergreen information that doesn't change often. They are designed to help people understand a single topic quickly. They have one topic and one purpose. And they are usually limited to 1 to 2 pages. Think of fact sheets as a resource that has top-line information about your research or program. Fact sheets are not meant to cover many topics. They should not contain a lot of details, nor should they explain step-by-step processes. Fact sheets do not include details that change often, are time-sensitive, or require frequent updates. There are typically 4 components of a fact sheet. The first component includes brief context or background information up front. Context lets the user know the why behind the communication. What else should your fact sheet contain? There are 3 additional components that are consistently included. First, key messages. The key messages are what you want the user to know from the communication, especially if they know little to nothing about your research. Remember to limit the key messages to one topic and one purpose. The next component are clear takeaways. This component allows you to summarize or highlight the key message to the user. It reiterates the main message clearly and succinctly. The final component is the action step. What one step do you want the user to do next? It should be simple and easy to understand. You can visit NIHCEAL.org, that's NIHCEAL.org, for more examples of fact sheets. Now that we've discussed fact sheets, let's move on to toolkits, another popular resource. As we did for fact sheets, we'll discuss what toolkits are and what toolkits are not. Toolkits are designed to help people take action. They include clear step-by-step guidance or instructions and practical tools that can be used right away. They are modular and flexible, and if used, will result in immediate action. Toolkits work especially well when many people are completing similar tasks. Toolkits are not long, static PDFs. They should not be narrative, heavy documents, or collections of general information. They are not unstructured without clarity. Remember, the goal is to share information without overwhelming the user. Toolkits contain several components. One component is modules or sections. Modules or sections allow you to break content into sections that are easy to understand and contain usable information. Another component is tools and templates. These components provide users with resources to take action. Tools and templates help users see the toolkit in action. Next are examples and scenarios. Examples and scenarios allow users to relate to the information and to identify how that information can be used in their unique situations. Finally, step-by-step actions are included to make it easier for users to find what they need and to take immediate action. A few examples of toolkits created by NIH CEAL are displayed on this slide for reference. You can also visit nihceal.org for more examples of toolkits. So here's the question: should your resource be a toolkit or a fact sheet? This comparison shows how these two formats serve different purposes. A fact sheet's main purpose is to support quick understanding. They focus on one topic and provide information at a glance that results in increased knowledge of the topic presented. In contrast, a toolkit's main purpose is to compel the user to do something. It includes step-by-step guidance, often serving as an instruction manual to guide users in completing the action. So how do you choose the right format for your needs? Let's talk about it. Before we talk about which to use, let's talk about why format matters. Format affects how information is presented and used. When format is clear, readers can focus because information is easier to use and key points are highlighted. Users ultimately know what to do next. Intentionality makes resources more effective. When the format is unclear, even strong content can be hard to follow. Resources may try to serve multiple goals, which can often be confusing for the user. It can include too much information or even unclear next steps. As a result, readers may feel overwhelmed. Now that you understand why format matters, let's discuss a few things to consider before selecting your format. Before choosing a format, be clear about your purpose. Ask yourself, why am I communicating? Why are you sharing this information? Also ask what you want the user to do with the information. What action should the reader take? And finally, ask what should change after they use it. If the goal of your communication is understanding, a fact sheet is usually the best choice. When the goal is action-oriented, a toolkit is often a better option. Remember that purpose should always guide format. The second consideration in choosing your format is audience. Audience means more than a group name. It includes who you are communicating to, what they already know about the topic, the language they use, and how they will use the resource. Your audience shapes the tone and even the reading level you choose. It shapes how much detail to include or not include. It also shapes your format choice and even which examples will make sense within that resource. The bottom line, who you're communicating with matters, and it goes beyond a group name. So far, we've talked about the types of tools your research teams can use to communicate with communities you've engaged. We've identified the two most common types, toolkits and fact sheets. And we've shared some information on purpose, format, and audience. Next, we'll talk briefly about plain language essentials and accessibility basics. We'll start with plain language essentials. Plain language is clear, straightforward communication. It helps readers find, understand, and use information. It's grammatically correct and universally understood. When language is clear and direct, people can focus on what matters most without extra effort. Plain language starts with clear headings and content that's easy to scan. It prioritizes key points, it limits jargon, and breaks up text so readers are not overwhelmed. Short sentences and familiar words make information easier to understand, especially for non-research audiences. It can be also helpful to check your draft using online reading level tools. These tools can show whether your content matches the needs of your intended audience and help you adjust language before sharing your resource. Many of these tools, like the Flesch-Kincaid readability tests, are built into Microsoft Word and many other editors. Plain language focuses on clarity, conciseness, and accessibility. It reduces misunderstanding and enhances the user's experience, as well as increasing efficiency of your communication tool. It reduces misunderstanding, enhances the user's experience, and increases efficiency. Speaking of accessibility, there are a few accessibility essentials, also known as 508 compliance basics, that we'll review next to help you as you create your communications tools. Accessibility basics focus on making content usable for all readers. That includes good color contrast. Color contrast refers to the difference in brightness between two colors, typically between text and background. Good contrast ensures that people with low vision, color blindness, or other visual impairments can read and interact with your content. Alternative text, or alt text, is a textual description of images that conveys the essential information they contain. Alt text allows screen readers to accurately convey messages to your readers. Captions for audio and video are also important for accessibility. Captions enhance comprehension of materials presented. And finally, readable font sizes increase visibility for the reader. Accessibility helps more people use your resources. By reducing barriers and supporting a wide range of needs, accessible design makes information easier for everyone to access and understand. As we close this training, here are a few key takeaways. Effective communication starts with a clear purpose. It also starts with understanding your audience and choosing the right format. Remember that purpose guides format. Format guides structure, and structure supports usability. Making format decisions early helps keep your resources focused and prevents confusion later. The research you do is important to the communities you engage. Creating clear, well-designed resources to share your findings and best practices helps ensure that work is understood, used, and able to improve health. This ends our training. Be sure to stay connected to news from CEAL. Subscribe to the CEAL newsletter and the CEAL Research Roundup, and visit the CEAL News and Events page for news stories from CEAL teams. Thank you for your time. Please scan the QR codes to stay connected to CEAL and access community-engaged research resources. And stay tuned for our next module.